with One Mission Society, as you know, God has given us the vision to give the gospel over the next 10 years to 1 billion people in a way that they can comprehend and respond. And that's a God-given vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to incorporate people from every angle you can imagine, not just the 3 or 4
That's right.
you alluded to, but we are looking at the world and all the different views that people hold against God or for God. How can you speak truth to us, John, today as a mission, as we seek to give the gospel, take the gospel to the world? But not only that, in giving them the gospel, they receive their relationship with God, which gives them access to the Father, which is intercession, which is prayer.
Yeah.
What truth can you speak to us today as we go about with that vision?
Well, I'm excited by that vision. I mean, that's a huge vision, especially for, you guys are a good-sized missions
We're the little
organization,
tribe
but
of
not
Benjamin.
huge. I mean,
Yeah.
not huge.
Yeah.
But of course, Gideon did it with 300.
Absolutely.
So to have that kind of a vision before you, I think, does a number of things in people's hearts. Some would say, well, that'll just overwhelm people. That's too big. But no, I think what happens is people will rise up in faith and begin to pray as they get captured with that kind of a vision. I'm reminded of a couple of places and actually some of my favorite verses on prayer where God talks about that connection. In Jeremiah, I think it's, I always get this mixed up, if it's 33 or 33:3, I think it's 33:3, where he says, call on me and I will show you great and on mighty things and that you don't know anything about. And then Ephesians 3, where it says, in the midst of Paul's prayer for the Ephesian church, he says, our God is a God who wants to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine. And so I think when the size of our vision gets big and gets out there, that's a profound thing, because we're starting to really think the purposes of God. We're starting to really capture the bigness of God. I think one of the biggest keys in this is you have to, alongside of this vision, also cast a big picture of who God is, his attributes and those kinds of things. People need to get that in their mind, because the more they can see who God is and the more they see the bigness of God, this is doable. They get in their minds, this is doable. I'm reminded of the prayer that the disciples had early on in Acts 4 when they were threatened with their lives and told never to proclaim the name of Christ again. And I believe it's verses 23 to 30 in that range. They go back to their group and they've got to pray about this. And they start their prayer by looking at who God is. You're the great creator. You created the heavens and the earth. They're doing just what Jesus taught them, recognize who God is, as you begin your prayer. And then they prayed scripture. They prayed Psalm 2, which is the psalm where at the end of it, God says, well, you're going to have trouble when the Messiah comes. Nations are going to try to stop him. But at the end, he says, ask of me and I'll give you the nations as your inheritance. So they're not going to be able to stop you. I'm going to, and so they pray. I think they probably prayed through all of that, even though we only see a couple of verses of it in that actual scriptural prayer. But then they come around to their situation, and rather than pray small, the way we would pray, typically, most people would pray, get me out of this, protect me, all of those kinds of things. Instead, they say, enable your servants to speak your word with great boldness. And they had gotten in trouble because they healed a man at the temple, and that didn't sit well with the religious leaders. And so then they pray, stretch out your hand to heal and perform miraculous wonders through the name of your holy servant Jesus. More, Lord, give us the enablement we need. Let signs and wonders follow. They were able to, as they saw the bigness of God, and they got their arms wrapped around Scripture and around what His purposes were, they were able to jump right into the fray of, don't let us shrink back, but let us keep praying and praying for the enablement that we need.